Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel we are going to be talking about 1993's The Firm and its brand new 4K Blu-ray that just came out from Paramount. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, listen podcasts, we try to do them all here on the channel. And nothing helps the channel out more than by just simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So The Firm came out on June 30th, 1993. It is directed by Sidney Pollack and is based on the 1991 Jim Griffin novel, The Firm. The screenplay was actually done by Robert Towne, who was working a ton with Tom Cruise at the time. He would actually end up help write, I believe, the first 3 Mission Impossible movies, but he actually co-wrote this screenplay along with David Ray and David Rayfield. So back in the early 90s, Jim Griffin novels were all the rage. This actually came out the same year as The Pelican Brief, which is based on another Jim Griffin novel. And these are very much thrillers, and this is very much a thriller as well. This follows a young, hotshot lawyer played by Tom Cruise, who is the most coveted lawyer by every law firm in the country. He is graduating with honors from Harvard, so everybody wants this guy, and one little firm with only 41 lawyers in Memphis, Tennessee, they have their sights on him, and they are going to make an offer 20% more than what the highest offer he had received before that was. And he can't turn that down. This is a kid who grew up in a very poor family. He has a brother who is in prison right now that he's ashamed of. He never even brings him up at his interviews. He grew up in a trailer with just his mother and his brother, so he's very ashamed of his childhood. So he's trying to get as far away from that life as he possibly can. He doesn't want to be poor anymore. So this is exactly the spark he needs. Now his wife, played by Jeannie Triplehorn, she grew up with money, so she just sees Tom Cruise's character for who he is, the man he is. She doesn't want to see him change. She wants him to still be that man that she fell in love with, but she sees him getting swept off his feet by these people. You know, when they go and visit, they're all very strange, very weird. They basically talk like the firm is almost a cult. Like, oh, the firm encourages kids, you know, it gives off the impression that, you know, stability. You know, and then they're also like, oh, you know, the firm doesn't frown upon you getting a job, almost like they're stuck in the 1940s way of living. This firm does have a bunch of senior legislators who are also senior citizens, so you can understand why they would have that old way of thinking. And then as the movie progresses and he takes this job and he looks like he's going to get the life he always wanted, his wife from the very beginning is very skeptical of everything. She's afraid that he's going to turn into the man that she doesn't want him to be, but she understands that fear in him, that desire to be not only the best at what he does, but to get the life that he wants. You know, they really put on the works for him. They buy him a house, they pay off his student loans, they get him a Mercedes. But why are they doing all this? Well, it turns out that they really only have one main client, and that main client happens to be the mafia from Chicago. So that means that they're running a lot of money through this firm, but they don't tell you that that's what they do. You know, they really want to get you in there, locked in, like help you pass the bar exam. This is where we get introduced to some other great actors because the cast of this movie is stacked. I mean, Gene Hackman turns in another phenomenal performance 1 year after Unforgiven, where he won the Best Supporting Actor award. So, you know, he was at the top of his game here, and he's so charming in this movie. And the thing that really I love about his character is he plays almost like the older version of Tom Cruise's character, and his wife, Tom Cruise's wife, sees that that's the kind of man he's going to become. A man who means well, but he's gone too far. He's stuck in this life, but he is actually just such a sweet man who knows that he has made mistakes, but he just went too far. He got in too deep. But I'm in too deep. And yeah, he's trying to persuade Tom Cruise to follow in his footsteps. Hell, he's even his mentor. But he knows that deep down inside of him, he doesn't want that for Tom Cruise. He is a genuine, caring person. It's just he's gone too far. And then as far as other supporting actors in this movie, you know, Holly Hunter turns out another phenomenal performance. And again, in the early 90s, she was firing on all games, like between The Piano, which won her an Academy Award. Then a couple years later, she would do Crash. Only a few short years after what I think is her best performance in broadcast news. So anytime Holly Hunter pops up, she's always great, and she does a phenomenal job in this movie as well. And then for a lot of the small roles, they got some pretty big character actors, like Gary Busey plays, you know, Gary Busey in this movie, essentially just an off-the-walls private investigator. And then, you know, these two hitmen are played by Dean Norris of Breaking Bad fame, and then Tobin Bell of Saw fame, the guy who plays Jigsaw. And man, you know, they keep calling that guy an albino in this movie, and then it really makes me worry. Do I look like that guy? Because, you know, Tobin Bell is not a great-looking man, and especially in this movie with that long hair, so makes me concerned for myself, because I like to pride myself on being the most attractive man on planet Earth, so that, you know, it makes me a little bit concerned. But I mean, they really never waste a character in in this movie at all. Every part is basically played by just some great character actor, or even some just great actor in general. I mean, Hal Holbrook as the head of the law firm, he turns out a great little performance in here as well. And at the end of the day, it becomes such a great thriller that the tension is really building up towards the finale of this movie. And that's my biggest flaw, I think, actually, is the score. But I think that the piano score for this, at times, it's great. It's really elevating the plot. It's really setting that Tom Cruise is trapped and he has no way out. It's really setting that tone. But there's also times where the score might kind of be a little bit too silly, where it's in a serious moment where I don't think it works, where it almost kind of becomes too much of like a melodrama. And I think that kind of happens throughout this whole film, where like the tone will change to almost like a soap opera, where it's just becoming too much, where it's just kind of becoming overwhelming, where the rest of the movie, it's kind of moving along at a very, something more along the lines of like an elevated drama, and then it kind of falls into the melodrama stance, especially when we get towards the end, because that's the biggest difference between the book and the film, is the very end of this movie. And without spoiling the end of the movie, they were going for, in the film, they wanted to make sure that Tom Cruise's character never does take the moral low ground. He always comes out on top, even though he gets his way at the very end of this movie. Without spoiling it, he does come out kind of on top. But he, in the book, you know, he still kind of does some shady stuff. Even though he is still the good guy in the scenario, he's still not coming out squeaky clean. Whereas in this movie, he has to come out looking like he always took the high ground in every single situation that happened in this movie, except for his one flaw that happens early in the movie, which does kind of turn out to be a setup, but he didn't have to do what he did. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, that kind of really does drive a wedge in the relationship with him and his wife. And his wife's reaction to that, by the way, is phenomenal. Like, you don't really see that, especially in early 90s films, where the woman is so strong that she's not just going to roll over on what her husband did to her. She's not going to take that. She's such a strong woman herself. I absolutely love that scene. This movie's filled with so many great scenes. I would just have to say that my biggest flaws in the film are the score itself, and I think that the very ending just kind of falls a little bit into the melodrama category, where the rest of the movie just kind of doesn't feel like that. So those are my only two real flaws with the movie. Otherwise, it's a really good thriller from the early 90s, a really good Tom Cruise vehicle where he's firing on all cylinders and just showing that the man can act. And, you know, again, you get a great Gene Hackman performance in here, and everyone else is doing a great job. So if you haven't seen The Firm, definitely check this one out.
Doesn't a dog ever get the bone?
Yeah, I hear it happens once in a while. It's a disaster. They can never get that dog to run again.
And now we're also here today to talk about this brand new 4K Blu-ray that just came out from Paramount Pictures. And you know what? It was only $21, and I was a little bit skeptical as to why that was. And then when I got it, I realized why. First of all, we get a nice slipcover on here. I really do love the artwork on here. It's pretty much just like the original theatrical poster, just, you know, shined up a little bit nice. You know, you slip that off, you get the same thing underneath. You pop it open, you get one disc in there. So that means no second Blu-ray disc, nothing. You just get the 4K disc, so everything is going to be on that 4K disc in just plain black. So right there off the top, you could already tell that you're only going to get the 4K disc. So that already explains why it's $21. But the biggest flaw is that there is absolutely zero extras on here. There is not a single thing. Not even a trailer. We don't get that.
There's nothing. Nada. Zip.
Nothing on there at all. That's it. You get the film in 4K. There's no way to compare it to a previous Blu-ray. The 2017 Blu-ray actually has the same exact audio track on it. It's a Dolby True HD 5.1. And to be fair, it is a pretty good True HD 5.1 track. I actually had very little issues with it. It was very clear and crisp. It's just that, you know what, for a movie like this with the thriller, you know, the tension could have been built a little bit better if you would have like sprung for the Dolby Atmos track, because they did spring for the Dolby Vision and the HDR10, and that's really what you're paying for, is the huge visual upgrade. Because of over previous versions of this, it is definitely a very big jump from what I had previously seen to the 4K. Now, I can't compare this to the 2017 Blu-ray, A, because it's not packed in here, and B, because I don't actually own it. So this is my first time owning the movie, and at that price of $21.95 that you could buy it at right now, it does still feel a little too expensive for just a visual upgrade. You don't get any extras, no new audio, but those visuals for the most part are really good. I only encountered a few minor flaws in this. When they first get in their Mercedes early in the movie, it's a little bit grainy, and then there's a scene when they first get to the hotel, Gene Hackman and Tom Cruise, when they get to the resort in the Cayman Islands, you know, that very initial scene looks very muddy, and then there's times throughout the 4K where it seems like the saturation is a little bit too high, so like their skin tones look like just not real. And it's a very minor complaint, and it only happens a few times throughout the 4K, so it's more than likely just how they shot the scene on set. But it is noticeable in the 4K that they couldn't clean those scenes up, especially since the rest of the 4K is definitely a huge jump, especially in the resolution. You know, scenes look almost eye-popping when you look at them, how gorgeous they look. Because, like I've said in the past, Paramount, when they want to, can definitely turn out some of the best-looking 4Ks, and this is no different. It is a very high-quality visual showpiece, just with some minor inconveniences in there. But the problem is you didn't give us a new audio track, you didn't give us any new extras, so all you did was concentrate on one portion of this. So for $21.95, I really can't recommend you running out and grabbing that. I think if it ever goes on sale, and it's a Paramount release, so more than likely it will, anywhere in the $10 to $15 range, I can recommend it. Unless you're a huge fan of the firm and you've been waiting for this 4K release and you want to watch it right now, I could definitely say, you know what, you're going to be happy with the visual jump, but you're not getting anything new that you haven't seen before. And the fact that you don't even get the pack-in Blu Ray with probably would have had the previous extras on it is very disappointing, because this was a hit at the time. On a $42 million budget, it did end up making $270 million. So it was a very popular movie at the time. It's still one that I think people go back to because, you know, it's a Tom Cruise film. And it's a very entertaining one. It feels very much like a movie you would see at a Saturday matinee and have a great time watching. So the fact that this movie and its 4K didn't get that much love, this just kind of feels like those, you know, let's get it out there, let's give this movie a 4K release like they used to do like DVDs and Blu-rays. But the thing is when they would do that with DVDs and Blu-rays, either it would be bundled with other movies or it would be like $10. At $21.95, it's only $5 less than what a brand new 4K would be at $27, which usually, especially if it's like Scream Factory release, will have 2 to 3 discs with plenty of extras and a Blu-ray version. So at that price, it just feels like highway robbery, and I cannot support that. So when it goes on sale, I'm sure it will for like Prime Day coming up, or towards the end of the year for Black Friday, and you see it floating around that $10 to $15 range, that's the price I would recommend it at. But what would I grade this as of right now on a score of 1 to 10? Like I said, I still really enjoy the film. I think it's still a very high quality visual showpiece for Paramount and what they can do with their 4K technology, but the lack of a new audio track or any extras whatsoever or a pack-in Blu-ray, I have to drop the final score of this down to just a passing grade at 6.5 out of 10, which disappoints me because I was very excited to get this on 4K. I'm a big fan of this movie. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, as you guys know, so I was excited to see it again, and I just to walk out here a little bit disappointed because they're labeling this the 30th anniversary edition. There's nothing special about this at all. It's very much just let's get the movie out there, and that's it kind of 4K, which is very disappointing because Paramount, when they want to, can really spring for all the bells and whistles. So it's unfortunate that I have to sit here and tell you guys that. But before we get out of here today, it is Monday, and that means it's time for us to pick our 2 winners of the Digital Code giveaway. So in every Friday's video, I ask you guys 2 Digital Code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those in the comment section below, and if you do that, you come back to this video, I put your name on a magic wheel, I spin that bad boy 2 times, the 2 names it lands on, those are your 2 lucky winners, and they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And you can also pick the firm, because that did come with a digital code, so at least they didn't skimp out on that. And I asked you guys, what was your favorite Pixar film, and what was your favorite animated film of all time? You only had to answer one of those questions, and you know, we got a lot for the classics. We got a bunch for Toy Story, WALL-E, got some Monsters Inc. in there, got one for Monsters University and one for Cars. I really love Monsters University. I think that is actually Pixar's most underrated film. I don't think people were too excited for a prequel to Monsters Inc., but they really nailed it. I mean, I think that's just the most straightforward comedy Pixar's ever made, and I think it's one of their top 10 films. And really, to talk about Pixar, it's really a shame to see what actually happened this week with Elemental. I thought that was one of the best movies of the year and only made $29.5 million at the box office. That just goes to show you what's going on right now with the box office and the fact that Pixar pretty much can't make money anymore there. They're kind of just seen as a Disney Plus entity now and not their own entity. Now they're just basically just another former Disney, and that their movies are expected to go to Disney Plus, and viewers aren't going to go out there to see it because they just know it'll end up there eventually. But it's a shame because it's such a good movie. But anyway, guys, I'm rambling on, and we got to pick our 2 winners, so let's see who they are right now. First wheel spin coming up.
I'm in love.
1677. Alright. Rogue, we're going to remove you. Spin again.
Whoa, taking the elevator, going up. Got a lot of ground to cover, and I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top, keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up, I'm coming up.
And Fallish Fiendish Angel. Alright, congratulations, Rogue 1677 and Fallen Fiendish Angel. You guys have been entering for quite a while now, so it's really cool to see you guys get your first wins here in the digital code giveaway. I really appreciate everybody who entered this week's digital code giveaway. Even if you didn't win, make sure you come back to this Friday's video. That's going to be my review for Asteroid City. We're also going to have plenty of reviews this week, not just for The Firm, but for Vanilla Sky and Skinamarink. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel so that you can definitely check out those reviews as well. And if you guys did win the digital code giveaway, always reach out to us at our email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com, or you can always reach us at any of our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Direct message us there. Let us know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner didn't take that before you, that digital code is all yours. And again, guys, thank you so much for being a fan of Let's Talk. We really appreciate all your support here on the channel. Nothing helps this channel out more than just by you simply liking this video, subscribing to the channel, maybe going to your local law firm, and telling all your friends about us. We'll be seeing you around.